to our first-time listeners, to our part-time visitors, and to our ardent subscribers, wherever or whenever you may be tuning in. I'd like to say good morning, good day, or good evening, and welcome to a very special episode of 54 Lights. My name is Kandwani Mwase, and 54 Lights is a show that's dedicated to celebrating the lives and projects of Africans and people of African descent throughout the globe. I mentioned earlier that today's episode is very, very special. It is so for two reasons. First of all, we are broadcasting this live from the Eaton Centre in downtown Toronto, thanks in no small part to our friends at CF Toronto and our friends at North Strategic. Thank you all for accommodating us and giving us access to this fantastic space where artists and small businesses can showcase what they've got. The second reason today's episode is very special is our guest, Kibra Tesfaye. She's a rising star in Toronto's music scene. Kibra may be the best kept secret in music, but her ascent is inevitable. And fortunately for us, quite imminent. If you look her up online, you'll be greeted with some pictures and a few examples of her work. It'll be clear that she's got talent, but come this September, the world will start to see just how spectacular her voice is. Finally. Kibra, welcome to 54 Lights. If you could give me your full name, if there's a middle name in there, but hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly.
You're pronouncing it perfectly.
Okay.
And that's all there is to it.
Yeah, perfect. And what, if anything, it means?
For a long time, my family told me that my name means bright. So that's kind of like what I've been going off of. But I did some more research and that's not what it means.
Okay.
I've seen everything from I know a lot of Arabic speakers that have told me it means big and bold, and I've also seen jungle,
Wow,
so
okay.
I mean I was named after my grandmother, so
Very nice.
I guess that was more of the reasoning rather than the meaning of the name, but yeah.
And so when you go out, when people ask you what it means, do you go with bright, or do you say, or do you disclose what you just confessed to me now?
Nobody has asked me what my name meant until since I have found this discovery of what my name actually meant. So I would always just say, hey, my name is Bright, because I didn't really know any better.
Okay.
But I think I'm just gonna go with it.
Yeah, just run with it. It works really well. And your family background, it's, where are you from?
So I was born here in Toronto,
Okay.
but my family is from Eritrea.
Eritrea, okay. Just a quick question. Is Kibra a common name in Eritrea?
It's not very common, but it definitely comes from that region. I've met people that have felt that it was familiar in the Middle East and Turkey and those types of places. But there definitely is a few Eritreans that are named Kibra as well. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. This is 54 Lights podcast is it's targets. Not targets, but it's really about celebrating people from Africa or of African descent, really. So I'm really curious to know what your connection is to Eritrea in particular. Do you visit it at all? Do you still have family there, or are you quote unquote do you consider yourself just purely Canadian?
Oh, definitely not. I still feel a very strong tie to the continent, but my mom was raised in Ethiopia, so that's where I've traveled to, and I have a lot of my first cousins and aunts and uncles that live there. So I definitely I can only speak Amharic. I can't speak the language native to Tigrinya too well. There was a lot of tension between Ethiopia and Eritrea, and we finally made peace, and it's just really nice because I've felt a connection to both nations, and I'll never neglect one for the other just because of my connections to those places. So
Yeah.
I've never been to Eritrea, but I have been to Ethiopia like a long time ago, but I loved it. I remember everything about it. And I definitely would love to go back and also visit Eritrea once, timing is right.
For sure. And I think you touched on something which is really interesting. So I was born in Ethiopia, and I know that there was, when the separation happened with Eritrea, there was quite a lot of tension between the two countries. I think it still exists, but it's far better now, and I think both governments are working towards it. So this is not a political podcast, but really interesting that you noticed or appreciate the connection to both. With that said, if I were to ask you where's home, what would you answer? Sorry, I asked you right as you were
no, it's okay. Home, I would definitely say I was born and raised here. I've never moved. Literally all my schools have been on the same street. Like my elementary school was here, my high school was here, and then my university was here. So I definitely feel like a very strong connection to like my literal home and like just Toronto in general. But I don't feel like if I were to go back home, I still consider it like back home, you know? So, when I, as a term I use when I think of like Ethiopia or even Eritrea, I don't think that, I hope not, I don't think I feel too out of place, especially just because of how much family and familiarity there is there. And I remember when I went, I was just a child, but we were only supposed to go for a month, and I was like, no, I don't want to go back. So we extended to 2 months. I'm like, no, I don't want to go. It was 3 months, and then they were like, okay, you gotta get to school. Let's go, we gotta go. So,
That's very cool. You're very persuasive then, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
Extended 1 month to 3 months. Listen, I want to maybe thank you for sort of opening up about that. From a family standpoint, do you have siblings, or you're the only child? Only child. So I'll come back to your name for a second. Bright, or as you were told it means. Do you feel that that's a good representation of who you are?
Yes, I do think so.
Okay.
I've always been very ambitious and like to think on my toes a lot. So I think it was kind of like I knew what my name meant, so I was like, I gotta live up to my name.
Exactly.
And then you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe it had a little bit to do with that, but I think it is a good reflection. That's kind of why I probably will still claim it.
Nice. Another odd one maybe then, if you weren't around and I were to go to your mom or your friends and I said, hey, Kibra's name means bright. And
they'd be like, oh, yeah.
Would they say that's obvious?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
A little too bright sometimes.
Yeah. So it's vetted. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you today really was, I was connecting to you and our paths crossed, and I ended up looking you up online, and I found your music, and it just struck me, and I wasn't, I was at home sort of doing something, and I wasn't really paying attention, and I just sort of hit play and turned around, and I was like, what is this? And I turned back, and I was just sort of immersed in your voice. So, before we jump into sort of all the sorts of questions I had about, where that came from, the inspiration, would you mind singing just a little bit of anything maybe off the top of your head that you have, and just sort of introduce maybe the audience to Kibra?
Sure. We could do one of my original songs.
Sure, I like that. Go for it.
Baby, tonight you'll see just how it's worth it. I'll show you what you're working with for the rest of your life. I'll always try. Oh, baby, today you'll know I'm here forever. For worse or for better, babe, I'm yours and you're mine. The best love ain't blind, 'cause baby, I see you.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
amazing.
Thank you.
That's probably what pulled me in. Fantastic. You're really, really powerful voice, a very gentle voice. What got you into music?
Oh, at a very, very, very young age, like I started singing before I could talk. Like I remember like watching like video footage of like me trying to like teach my friends like open your mouth, like you can do it like this, and like I wasn't any good, but I was there at every talent show. Just kind of do my thing, but I was also just like put into piano at a very young age as well.
Okay.
I think I started when I was like 3 years old. So that definitely, I think, helped develop my ear.
Yeah.
And I just had I've always had just like a natural just love for music as a whole.
Yeah.
And like I feel like I've finally realized that this is probably one of the only ways I can feel fulfilled in my life is if I do music. So that's just kind of where I'm at right now.
Interesting. That was actually going to be my next question. Is that I know a lot of people who like sing in the shower or sing around their house. I have a daughter. She's I think has got a great voice, but I'm obviously biased. But I think she does have a great voice.
I'm sure she does.
When did you make that transition to, hey, I'm just sort of fooling around and singing around the house or around my friends or in plays or whatever, to like, hey, there's something here and I want to make something of this?
So I think in high school I had a vocal teacher. Her name was Miss Russo, and she kind of like heard me sing like in vocal class and was like very mad that I didn't audition for the talent show.
Right.
Because it was high school and I was new and I didn't really like feel at most comfortable like I did in my elementary school. That I was there for like 10 years, right?
Yeah.
But she definitely like helped me realize that I had something there, and really like pushed me to the forefront of a lot of like the things that we were doing in the class, and just kind of took extra time to like teach me certain things. But I still kind of didn't really understand that I could make my own music. I was very much just like writing poetry and then singing covers. That was kind of what I was doing, and I was performing and had a couple gigs here and there, and that's just kind of like what I did for a long time. And then I was like, you know what, like
there's something here.
I can actually like just write my own music. Like what am I doing? Like, and yeah, like I just kind of met the right people for the time, and just kind of went from there.
Just moving from there.
Yeah.
Your support system around you, your family, your friends, your teachers, what was their initial reaction? Obviously, Ms. Russo was encouraging you to pursue this.
Yeah.
But coming from like an African family, sometimes music is sort of not. It's like, oh, you can play with that, but how's the reaction at home? And with friends too.
Yeah, so at home, surprisingly, the reaction was very positive. My mom's very happy about me doing music. I mean, I'm sure she would love it if I was a doctor, but she's extremely supportive, like more than I could ever ask for. And my uncle, who's like been my father figure my whole life, is extremely supportive as well.
You two are close as well. You're very close.
Oh yeah. That's like my dad, So he's been very supportive in every way, and I feel very, very grateful for that, because I know that coming from an African household, there's a lot of pressures to not really follow the arts and just kind of like do the generic doctor, lawyer kind of thing, engineer. So I'm like very thankful that they've supported me. And I mean, my friends are amazing. They love supporting me as well. So they're always there. They're always,
Must be easy
great.
for them. You'd be great at parties, so it's kind of like, I don't know if that counts. I got a random question for you about what you just did now, and even as you were growing up in music. Did you ever have like stage fright or like?
I still do to this day.
Really?
Absolutely. Okay. I don't think that'll ever leave me.
Yeah. So
it keeps me alive.
That's interesting. So how how do you confront that? How do you overcome that?
I think like for people who really, really know me, I think they can kind of see it sometimes.
Okay.
But like when you make a decision to do something, you kind of have to take all that comes with it.
Right.
And I love performing, but it makes me very, very nervous. So all that happened was that I just practiced and practiced and practiced, and I did a bunch of coffee houses and showcases, and I just did everything. And I just kind of like did not really allow it to be exposed as much, despite being nervous. And there's certain spaces that'll make me more nervous than others. But I mean, yeah, I just kind of suck it up, to be honest. Yeah.
Do you think so? But you said it's still something you deal with now. Like you still get the nerves or whatever.
Yeah. I think like when you really care about something and you really want to do well, it's something that like automatically you have like a certain pressure placed on you. So I think that's just kind of like where the nerves are coming from, I guess. Yes.
I think this process has got to be pretty involved in terms of taking your time and energy and working with other people, and you know it is, you know, you're creating something, right?
Yeah.
It's a creative process. You know, it's a bit of a silly question, but I want to know, like, what does music mean to you? Is it a vehicle for entertainment? Are you trying to get a message out? Is it both? Is it just you want a music track? What does it mean to Kibra?
The reason why I decided to pursue music is just because I felt it was the easiest way for me to get certain messages out. I felt like it was a way that allowed me to not neglect different parts of my world, I guess. Whether it be like academia, whether it be like my connection with where I'm from in Toronto, whether it be my connection to the continent, my connection to my blackness. I felt like music was or is a vehicle that I can really propel the messages that I've created through being in these worlds. And I'm a very opinionated person, so I like to get these things out, whether they're subtle or explicit. And I also just, you know, just want to make people feel good. I love writing a good love song, you know. And yeah, that's just pretty much it. Yeah.
With the you've got an upcoming video and I guess single coming out.
Yeah. The song is already out. It is actually the song that I just sang now.
Nice. Okay.
It's called The Best Loving Blind, and I'm very, very excited for it. It took me 3 days to shoot this video.
Wow.
It's like
Did you shoot that locally?
Yes, I did shoot it in Toronto. It was a lot of work. I had to coordinate about 60 people, including children. So yeah, there was a lot that went into that, and it should be released for September 19th, which is my birthday. So I'm excited about it. Yeah.
Happy early birthday and happy
Thank
early
you.
release. So it's your first video?
It's my first video I'm putting out. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Is knowing that that's going to come out and drop on September 19th, like, where's your emotions? Are you just sort of like, it's done, it's going to come out, or are you anxious? Like,
I'm very anxious.
Where are you from an emotional standpoint?
The video is quite political in nature.
Okay.
It takes place it's a flashback that takes place in the 60s in the States during the Black Panther power movement. So I did a lot of research. I had a friend who's an amazing historian who's going into law school who also helped me with research as well. And we just really try to make the plot foolproof and seamless. So now it's in the editing stages, and it's a little bit out of my control right now,
Yeah.
so I'm really anxious about it. Yeah, his name was Khalik, and the person that's doing the video, that directed the video is Sparks. CA Cinematics, if you guys want to search him out. Yeah. He was amazing, very patient guy, so I'm excited, but I'm very nervous about the outcome of it, so, and it's just something that I really, I put a lot of thought into it, so I'm very anxious to release it and just show everyone and see how it's being received. So yeah, I'm just excited.
Yeah, it's funny as you're going through that, and that's why I asked about the process, is that, as quote-unquote consumers, we just see the end product, right? We don't see all the work that goes into writing a song and then collaborating with people, coordinating people for video, like all of that goes to make a 2 to 4 minute video, right? We're just sort of consuming for 4 minutes, like, oh, that was great, or that, it evokes some emotion. It's a long journey, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I think maybe where I'd like to ask is just take a deeper dive on the story. What inspired you to say, for my first video, I'm gonna do this? Because you talked about you sing a lot of love songs. I don't know if you said that, but I'm assuming that you sing a lot of love songs, that you like that. This one is more political in nature. So where did that decision?
I feel like it was gonna happen because of just of how I am. But so like the story kind of follows just like me, who's just at first just kind of like just a black girl in the 60s, just kind of existing, just doing her.
Doing your thing, yeah.
And then she meets a guy within the Black Panther Party who is I really tried to build a character around him that wasn't A, overbearing, B, very respectful, and C, I didn't want to create the dynamic of like him teaching me or like damsel in distress kind of thing. Like I really wanted to enforce that. I took it upon myself to like through him like exposing me to certain things, like I took it upon myself to kind of be more conscious of the things that were going on, especially during the time there was this like philosophy almost that like once you know what's going on, like you can't really turn your back to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of...
It's tough to unlearn once you've got...
Right? So I kind of really like allowed for the viewers to kind of follow her process in terms of being more exposed to the Black Panther Party all the way up to being a leader. And I also just wanted to really highlight the impact that Black women had on this movement and almost every movement. Because I find that there's a lot of erasure of Black women in history. And I feel like a lot of the people that we know or like the figureheads are usually men. And it neglects all of the types of work that were honestly, the Black Panther Party could not exist without these women. So yeah, like it's a very, it's very politically charged. And the reason why I wanted to do this now is just because I find that there's a lot of parallels with what was going on all the way back in the 60s in Oakland and in like the rest of the states, and what's going on now here in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
So
it's very topical.
Exactly.
So as a Black woman who's putting that message forward, or who's thinking through that, and forcing viewers to understand and digest that, sometimes I think I'm like, wow, we haven't come very far because these stories are still relevant. But what's your take on that? Do you think that we've progressed as a society, or do you think?
I think society has a way of absolving an issue and then kind of like creating a new one that's just the same issue. You know what I mean? For example, in the video, I depicted the breakfast program that the Black Panthers had, and like a lot of people have said, hey, like my survival was based on getting free breakfast every morning. And then you kind of see, like in Toronto at least, there's a welfare system and there's all of these things that are going on, but then you see all of these cuts in terms of like I know the thing with like the autism and like there's just a lot of like progress and then we regress.
There's a lot of back and forth there.
So it's like, it's not to say that there has never been progression, but it's never been a straight line of progression.
For sure. You have to fight for every inch, and sometimes it goes backwards. As a black woman, do you this? I always find this like the burden of representation, right? So sort of like you're a black woman, so you have to speak for all black women. You have to be this model, and you can't, right?
No, because I'm also not even representatory of all black women. So I think like even by just being an individual, despite how you're labeled, I think there's also like many labels within there that grant you certain accesses and privileges that I feel like a lot of people aren't like aware of. So and due to that, I find that they feel like they can be a voice to everyone, but you can't. Like there are certain times where like you need to give space to people in places where you are privileged, right? So I don't ever want to sound or feel like I'm speaking for all black women. I just want to speak, you know. And I hope that people can find representation with me and can, I don't know, build a connection and find something positive in what I'm doing.
I think there's no doubt that they will, because like not only you're fantastic talent, but obviously you've got you're very bright and put a lot of thought into how this is going to be composed. So I'm kind of coming to the end of this. Take a couple more minutes of your time. One question though that I'm interested. What did you study, or what are you studying, and what's your background? Because it seems like there's a lot of things that are informing you from an educated perspective about what you're putting out from your music. So, what's your background on that? And like, are you working outside of music?
Yeah. So I study communications. I'm graduating soon, but so I studied communication studies. Prior to that, I was in history. Still love history. Just not. I was like, but like for a long time, I really wanted to be a teacher, and like I got into teachers college and all that, and I just was like, I got really boxed in. Like I was really young, and I'm like, I'm not ready to make this decision for the rest of my life. Like I don't know if I want to be teaching these kids. Like I don't know if I have that patience yet, but I still definitely find value in being like an educator, and like not even just an educator, but just being a part of like the knowledge sharing process. Because I find when you use the term educator, it kind of is like a one-way term, whereas
it's like really.
Whereas like I honestly like I seek value in getting knowledge as much as I do giving it. And like I'm just honestly like even outside of school, like I've just always learned. Like I was a part of the York United Black Student Alliance as the VP events. That definitely helped my politics grow through being within the group, and also just like the connections I've made through that group. And right now I'm working for Rania Rights, who does artist and anti-oppression workshops everywhere. She's amazing, brilliant, and I love working for her, and I feel very fulfilled being the media coordinator for her, just because I feel like she's doing extremely valuable work. And
she really is, and we're going to be speaking to her at 54 Lights later on, but obviously, you and her are aligned in the sense that you also are doing amazing work, not only through your music, which has expressions of love, but also some political messages as well. I have one more question, which is a little bit broader based, and then I have a couple of really quick ones. But what's next for you? I know the 19th is your birthday and the birthday of your video, but what's next for Kibra?
So I've been laying low, creating a lot. I have a few things under my belt. I don't really want to expose it all right now, but just a lot more music, a lot more R&B music, some cool features. And just hopefully travels and all that kind of stuff. Just to be a little bit ambiguous, but
looking forward to that. Looking forward to that. So there you have it. The conversation continues. I'd like to thank my guest for her participation and candor. Kibra, you will do well. Audio for this episode was mixed with the support of our producer, John Kitt, and recorded at the Eaton Centre in Toronto. Music for this episode was composed, played, and enjoyed with permission by Anjo. Remember to find us wherever you do your listening. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Listen, like, share. Until we meet again. Thanks for listening.